Chapter 22, David and Goliath. Our Petersburg clubhouse, situated nearly 200 miles from other outlaw chapters, typically discouraged night visitors, but occasionally strays surprised us. It was Memorial Day weekend 2009, and we had spent the night celebrating at local bars in Richmond with outlaws Les, Eminem, boss of the Rock Hill, South Carolina chapter, and Copper Region enforcer Harry, and two stragglers, a probate named Bovine and a full patch, Brett, a former wrestler who lived perpetually high on coke. Well after midnight, we moved the partying to our clubhouse and simply rewound our night. Hospitality generated good business relations. Bobby and I rotated tending bar until Les finally drifted off to sleep on our couch. He looked mangled, damaged, like a doll without stuffing. In sleep, mask slipped off. Harry and Brett alternated between shots and spoons of coke. They snorted thick lines on our bar in plain view of the video camera. Bovine served them like a mangly butler, answering the quick finger snaps to his new name Probate and to indiscriminate expletives. He reminded me of Claw, anxious, twitchy, and a distinct liability. We used Claw sparingly. He satisfied our body count and tagged along mostly on mandatory runs. Otherwise, we kept him well hidden. We didn't complain. In fact, I think he was relieved. Bovine lowered his gaze to the floor. He looked discolored, ashen, as if the strain of being a slave had already thinned his resolve. His left eye was ringed yellow with the end of a shiner. Bobby bantered easily with Harry, regularly refilling his beer stain, feigning interest in his drug exploits and behaving like a friend. An older gangster in his mid-50s, Harry resembled a retired Nazi officer, sleek head, swastika tattoos on his biceps. His raucous laughter echoed in the clubhouse as he drank and picked cocaine residue from his nostrils. But as the night faded, newfound rage simmered beneath Harry's demeanor, and he sneered suddenly at Bobby. "I don't like you." Bobby's jaw slacked. His smile instantly vanished. A pall of apprehension hung in the air. Bovine jerked his head up, his neck corded with tension. He stiffened his legs apart, ready for his orders. Harry's outburst rippled over the room like a vibration. "I don't like you," he repeated. Worry creased Bobby's face. None of us knew what had happened. One minute Harry and Bobby were engaged in a collegial conversation. The next, Harry pounced. "Who the fuck are you?" Harry spit, and I knew it was the cocaine talking. He slid off the bar stool, his hands balled to fist. We stashed AK-47s in our clubhouse with the pins deactivated. Harry's gun protruded from his waistband. My knife blade chafed my shin. We poised for reaction, but Harry surprised us. "Stand in that corner and don't move until I say so." He snapped his fingers at Bobby, motioned to the wall, and scolded him like an insolent child. "You can't fucking talk to a full patch like that. Who the fuck do you think you are?" Startled, Bobby stood, back to us, facing the wall. It was late. I was tired. I had been partying for hours, and now I just wanted them all to leave. But Harry and Brett, wired from coke, stayed. And as long as they did, Bobby faced the wall. His punishment bothered me the most. It seemed so basic, so uninspired, strangely ordinary. Here we had endured sudden punches, cuts to the throat, veiled threats, action, reaction, what seemed to be the natural order of things in the outlaws' world. And now, for the briefest of moments, their masks slipped and we saw them, who they really were. Not actors at all, not tough, not 1%ers who maimed and killed for fun, not anything at all. Soon, boredom inspired cruelty. Brett charged spontaneously like an elephant, wrapping his thick arms around Gringo's throat and pinning him to the scratchy green carpet, his elbows and knees pressing into Gringo's chest and groin. Forced to wrestle for several minutes, sweat dripped from Gringo's eyes as he grappled with Brett and pinned him down for the count. Brett sprang from the ground and immediately choked me from behind. "Get out of this one, fucker," he laughed, a ball of muscle half my size but strong. He played dirty and loose, and though at one time I had trained in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I succumbed, white spots punching my eyelids. Eminem whistled, clapped loudly, and Brett released. "How about a rematch?" he squatted, breathed in my face. I scrambled to my feet, still dressed in my cuts, and tackled Brett to the ground. I pressed my forearm to his throat. He wriggled beneath me, struggling like a wild boar. My weight crushed him. No one cheered or grunted. No one dared. His sour breath in my face came in quick bursts. I tugged at his vest, pinned his elbows to the carpet. Shadows circled me. Feud, frenzy, feud, frenzy. Chants repeated like percussion. But the rounds lasted too long, 3 to 4 minutes. Our limbs tangled together. We grunted like animals. Finally, Eminem called time. We broke apart. Brett rolled to his feet. His sweat stained the carpet. Dizzy and spent, I struggled to stand. Then I saw Eminem's right hand shoot up. Round 2, his voice boomed through the clubhouse. We were the entertainment, expected to perform like gladiators in an arena. Prospect against full patch. I had no choice. I lunged at Brett, grappled him to the ground, body slammed him into the carpet. His face flushed, shiny wet. We sparred for several minutes, ground fighting, until wind rushed from Brett's lungs. My body burned with strain. Dawn seeped through the windows. Fleetingly, I worried about repercussions. If I beat Brett, would I then be forced to fight the others? Gringo, JD, Bobby? Would the matches continue without relief? Eminem, perpetually high on coke, called time. Brett stumbled to the bar and vomited into the sink. He grabbed an ice pack from the freezer and shoved it against his head. Shock slid behind his eyes. I dropped into the couch, dizzy and exhausted, my body numb with fatigue. Eminem worked the room. He next paired Gringo with the probate and Bobby with JD. The latter pair went easy on each other. On Eminem's orders, they stripped their cuts. Chains and rings glittered on the counter. The match began. Mock wrestling. The agents circled the carpet, lunged, pinned each other into joint locks. They wrestled for several minutes. Grunts, moans, pants. The fighting continued. I didn't move. Didn't think the matches would ever end. Every muscle in my body tensed. 2 hours later, spent and needing rest, I stumbled outside into the bright sun and left the others to fight well into the morning. Guilt shuddered through me. Their day had just begun. Not only would they continue to wrestle with each other, but they would also contend with the ATF as they were debriefed and justified Operation Black Diamond. The investigation demanded massive outlays of money, electronic surveillance, mountains of paperwork, and dependent cover teams. Not only did the agents balance a split life between being mock gangsters and family men, but they also placated the brass, including top officials in Washington, D.C., who wanted nothing better than to shut down the investigation. Pressure to produce the results added to the agents' strain. Though I participated in none of the internal negotiations, I imagined the conversations. Tensions erupted between cover crew and agents as each accused the other of being unsympathetic. We weren't partying, we were building trust. Rapport necessarily produced drugs, confessions, conspiracies to kill. Even so, surveillance teams quit regularly, tired of the hours and what they considered reckless disregard for their time. But the nature of undercover work sometimes made it impossible to warn them of sudden plans, impromptu visits, wrestling matches that extended far beyond their shifts. Exhausted, I needed to get home to my family. I passed the cover team parked across the street. I called them as a courtesy, otherwise they might sit indefinitely in the street, waiting for their exit cue. "What's going on in there?" one piped over the line, sounding a little too eager. It took me a minute to answer, vaguely wondering what it would take for them to charge inside and rescue us. "You look like you were having fun." I hung up. Apart from the physical exertion prospecting demanded, I worried about ambush and lone snipers from the Hells Angels. Even the act of pumping gas stirred anxiety. We traveled in pairs, making sure one of us always kept a lookout for strays, for shadows, for things out of place. Each time I left the clubhouse, I scanned the cameras, angled toward the street and driveway looking for dark cars parked askew, for silhouettes on the corner, for abandoned bikes. I altered my routes home and checked for tails, worried gangsters might discover my real home.